I have a 25-year-old young lady that has a herniation in her back and got injections. She's got $35,000 in medical bills. I'm saying to the insurance company, I need $100,000 on this case. She's 25 years old. She's still in pain. She has a little girl or a little boy. She's married. She's having problems picking up her kid. This woman's life has been affected. Like, you need to compensate her $100,000. Insurance company says, no. So we have to go and prove in a secondary action that we did everything right and gave them every opportunity to pay the $100,000 in the cases, worth this million, and to basically ratify the judgment. Look at how much they're paying lobbyists. Look at how much these CEOs are making. Look at the chart, $20 million here, $18 million there for these CEOs. Just saying.
Cool. Well, we're ready to roll. I don't do introductions, by the way. So
I don't
it's just
either.
all right, perfect, cool. Perfect. So you're like one of the few people that's actually from Tampa.
Yeah.
That I know.
Yeah.
So born and raised in Tampa.
No, so I was born in South Florida. I was born in Hollywood. My mom worked for Publix. My dad worked for Discount Auto Parts, and then he got transferred up to Lakeland. And then my dad was driving around one day and he got lost. They were looking for somewhere on the water and ended up finding Apollo Beach. So I grew up in Apollo Beach, went to law school in Naples. Ave Maria is a small Catholic law school. Had a great time there. Went to St. Leo University for undergrad. Had a ton of fun there. But yeah, always been, I would say more or less like Floridian, Tampa Bay area. I didn't want to, she was my girlfriend at the time. She's my now wife. She wanted to come back to Tampa. She's very like family oriented. I didn't really care where we ended up because I was just trying to make money,
sure,
and get a job. And I remember the bar is a 2-day test. And I called her after the second day and I said, hey, I think I'm 80% sure that I passed. I don't even know what the hell that meant at that point. And she said, cool, I got the job she works at iHeartMedia and she's been there for 9 years. She loves it. And she said, I got the job. We're moving back to Tampa. So there was a lot of moving parts. And so long story short, we've been here for a minute.
Now, how does that work? And when you're trying to start your practice, especially in the world of PI, like branding matters. And I imagine like when you had first started, geographical location was more prevalent than like being able to market yourself online. Like, did that change anything?
Geographic didn't really play much into it. Okay. I mean, it was just like getting a job. I worked for a small PI firm.
Okay, so you didn't start your own firm?
No, no. I never started my own. So I worked for a small PI firm in Pasco County. I don't really talk about them too much. It was an interesting situation. But it started up there, and I've never had a salary like ever. So it's always kind of eat what you kill, and I've always gotten a piece of what I've done. And I didn't know anything. I had no money. My parents bought me a really sick C43 when I graduated, or CLA 45, excuse me, when I graduated law school as a graduation gift, which was insane. And I just kind of got in the car scene and I just started going on social media and I just started meeting people and figuring it out. And I was just working 14, 16 hours a day, whatever I needed to do in order to meet people and get in front of people. And I'm like, eventually, especially looking at like real estate agents, for example, that's what I kind of modeled it after. Like those people are like just super like aggressive on top of it. And I'm like, I'm just going to meet everybody in Tampa and hopefully they need an attorney one day. Yeah,
it's tough because it's not as direct response as some other types of businesses or legal practices in which like you're not just going to meet someone and like they just so happen to have an injury that happened, right? So
I don't even give out my business card anymore. I just tell people to follow me on Instagram just because like people throw away business cards or like even when they like give contacts and stuff like that, it's just like I have this guy on my phone. You got to be in front of people all the time. And I try to build like a bigger rapport so people know about me. It's like more than just like, oh, he's attorney Kevin. It's like, oh, he's into cars or, his family or he's doing this or doing that. And I think, that people are more connected to me. They feel better when, they're hiring me and then we do a great job and that's how it kind of goes.
Was it always law for you growing up? Was that the
since third grade. Yeah. Third grade. I wanted to be a lawyer. I met a lot of my dad's buddies. He wasn't a lawyer. He was in real estate. And these guys just always dressed really well, carried themselves in a certain way, were able to answer questions articulately. And it just always interested me and then, stayed on the course. So
it's awesome, man. So what have you seen as like the shift in the personal injury world, the insurance world since you started to now? I mean, it still seems like billboards are super prevalent in terms of like marketing, advertising stuff. But what is like the industry itself shifted towards
A lot more litigation. I've been doing it. It'll be 9 years in April this coming month, and it's a lot more litigation. Cases take a little bit longer now. It's you got to fight it out with the insurance companies. Insurance companies are not stupid. They've had AI for years. They've had, I believe it's called Amicus, which is their software that they put through all the CPT codes, all the medical codes, and give them values what they think a case should settle on based on, thousands and thousands of claims. So really, I think the two biggest differences, the cream rising to the top is number one is, having the money and the patience and the understanding to take a case to distance and educate a client properly. And I think the second thing is being able to humanize a case, which a lot of attorneys, I think, don't do very well. They're very systematic. For example, like, somebody has neck pain or back pain or a herniation or a bulge or this or that. Nobody knows what the hell that means. You know what I mean? The layman doesn't, know, it's a back injury. How does that affect that person? Can they not pick up their kid? Can they not, play sports? Because they, do they have difficulty sitting at work? Like, how does this affect their life? And that's what I really try to do with my clients, and I think delivers the value is I try to put a story behind it, rather than just, saying, they have, X, Y, and Z. Sure.
What's something about insurance companies that if people knew would make them angry behind the scenes?
They always have more money.
Sure.
They always have more money. I think that's number one. I think the other thing is that people have a significant misnomer on is that they think that, and I've been told this before, like, I'm going to make this insurance company remember me. They're never going to forget me. Susie, they'll forget you. I promise. They get thousands of claims every day. And a lot of times they will forget you. But we will make sure that while you have your moment in the sun, that we put forth the best case that we can, get you the best compensation that you can. And I think I'll add on to that too. Like, you don't want this to go on forever. You want to move on with your life. You want closure. You want to be able to put this past you in some capacity. So oftentimes I have to have that conversation with clients as well. It's like, okay, we can, and I'm using for example purposes, $20,000 is a lot of money, right? But if we already got you 480 and you wanted 500, do you really want to risk and take another year trying to get 500,000 when we could potentially resolve your case?
It's reasonable. I like that. Has there, can you give me some examples without obviously discussing any confidentiality, like any of the really tough conversations you've had to had with clients over the years?
Limited coverage is probably the hardest conversation. We're often, people aren't running around with, especially in this economy, with, oodles and oodles of money. And, lower policies. It's like, I'm really hurt. I hurt my back. I, broke my arm, things like that. There's only $100,000 in coverage. That's why you have to protect yourself and have uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, which that's a whole nother conversation people get frustrated with because it's like, why do I have to protect myself? That's insurance. That's what it's there for. But yeah, that's one of the hardest conversations. It's just with somebody that, I'm really, really hurt, but why are we not going after this person as an individual? It's very simple. If you go after somebody as an individual, you're going to get this nice shiny piece of paper at the end. It's going to be called a judgment. And then you have to collect on that judgment. First thing that person's going to do is go file bankruptcy and go get that judgment discharged. So again, to avoid a lot of those difficult conversations and those frustrations, I know it's a pain in the butt, but make sure you have some form of uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage.
Yep. Okay. So now let's say I have those types of coverages, what happens if I get into an accident? What is the ideal way to go about it? Like, to make sure that if I'm injured, I've just heard a lot of different perspectives on Instagram.
Getting medical treatment and getting an attorney are the two most important things first. Number one is, go to, if you're not, and I'm not a doctor, so if you're not detrimentally hurt, broken bones, limbs, things like that, you could probably get away with going to an urgent care. You can always go to the hospital as well. Insurance companies are typically looking for you to act fast. That's, bigger injuries obviously require quicker treatment. The other thing is following up with some type of conservative care and following the plan that the doctor puts in place for you. As far as any type of interventional pain surgeries or anything like that, that's a case-by-case basis. That's a much, much larger conversation. But the biggest thing is following the plan and making sure that you're honest about your injuries. A lot of guys, I notice especially, it's usually guys 35 to 50, I call it Superman syndrome. Well, they'll go to the doctor and they'll say, I'm kind of hurt, but, I'm not that hurt. That doesn't help your case. So be honest so they can get you better and we can get you properly compensated. But that's what I would say is, and then getting a lawyer quickly to gather the proper the evidence, as far as if there's any cameras in the area, make sure we identify the correct parties, get photos of the vehicles, all that stuff, so we can start our due diligence early on.
That's awesome, man. So you've been doing this for 9 years.
9 years.
You're married now. You just had a baby over the last year. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken?
yeah. My daughter's 15 months. My son's 4. So yeah, he starts pre-K in about 4 months, and then my daughter's going to start day school. So yeah, it's fun.
That's Kevin the third.
Kevin the third. Yep. And Emma.
What like as you're building your practice, you mentioned 14, 16-hour days. I'm assuming that there's like your wife, your kids are seeing this.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where that was a disruption to your family life?
No. You know, I mean, maybe it's sure. Let me rephrase. So lawyerly of me. It's definitely taxing. My wife puts up with a lot. But I think she understands with what I'm building. My dad worked a lot when I was a kid, traveled constantly throughout the Southeast. But I had a lot of really amazing opportunities. And was very well taken care of and was given an incredible childhood. So I think that's kind of what I'm sacrificing now. I understand people, are like, the years are so important. The early years, the early years are important for mom and dad. The kids won't remember too much. I think really the formidable years are probably 8 to 13. And that's where I plan on being around the most. And I think that's really the shaping years at the end of the day. I'm there for all the important things and we do little vacations and things like that. But, the biggest thing is, when my kid goes on a school trip and needs $50 for lunch or whatever, he's going to have it. When my kid wants the coolest Jordans, he's going to have it. When my kid wants to go to private school, he's going to go and goes to college and have all these advantages and things like that. So you're sacrificing one way or the other. Obviously, I'm going to make sure they both work for it as well. But at the end of the day, dad was home at 5 o'clock, but made 60 grand a year, or dad was home at, 8 or 9 o'clock, 4 days a week. But, I got a brand new BMW for my birthday. I don't know. I mean,
Sure, yeah.
It sounds super tooly, but I mean, it's just the reality of it. I mean, I think the two biggest problems in relationships are I'll call it 3. One is money, I think is the number one thing. I think 2 is sometimes the substance abuse, and God bless those people that have to go through that struggle. And I think number 3 is some type of infidelity. As far as me, we don't really have any money problems. As far as substance, I haven't drank for 500 days. I just celebrated that.
Nice.
Didn't have an issue, but yeah, no issues there. And as far as infidelity, I don't really like being touched that much, and I'm pretty scared of my wife. So I think we're pretty safe.
That's great. I remember Kevin O'Leary talking about it on Diary of a CEO. He mentioned like marriage is essentially a business contract.
It
at
is.
the end
It's
of
a
the day.
transaction. I said that to my wife. Yeah, this is transactional, and she lost her mind.
Imagine
Yeah.
telling that to her like, hey, like this is transactional.
Yeah.
The most important relationship we might ever have in our lives. This is super transactional. But I get it, right? And most of marriages are like the conflict starts from money, right?
It does. And I would say with that too, lack of transparency as well.
Yep.
I never hid who I was. And even early on in our relationship, I knew I was going to do big things in some capacity. And I think being transparent with that, having an understanding, I'm not going to be at home at 5 o'clock. My job is very different than a lot of other people's. I'm going to take phone calls on vacations. Sometimes you'll be dealing with shit that you're going to have to deal with. But on the big things, I'll always be there. On the, I'm going to deliver us an incredible life. There's a give and take. So,
how important is it to create those expectations with your wife? Because like I'm going through that of like there's like some level of subconscious guilt when I'm around my significant other or family and such, where it's like I'm working my ass off. I don't mind taking calls on vacation, but I do run into this cycle of I'm doing this so one day I can provide for these people. Abundantly, but in the same moment, they're not asking for me to do that. They're just asking me for me to be present in this exact moment. So like, how important is it to create expectations so there's no misalignment when you have to take a call on vacation?
I think the hardest thing is that people don't understand truly what they want. They think they understand what they want. And we have the conversation as far as like, time and time with the kids and things like that. Missing times, et cetera. But she also, we're applying to private school right now and she drives a Urus to work. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you want time and I try to provide as much as I can, but time without, what is time without comfort? Do you want me on vacation, stressed as can be because I don't know how to pay for it? Or do you want me, do you want to have my time, but we can't afford our mortgage? Or, it's a balancing act. And I think it's something that you work through together. And I think as long as you consistently talk about it and have communication, I think you'll figure it out. My expectations of myself and what I want to provide for my family are significantly loftier than probably the average person, just because I know I can do it. And that comes with sacrifice. I mean, I think you talk through it and you figure it out, and we've done, I think, a good job of figuring it out. But some of the things that we've even done recently, the people we've met, the opportunities we've had. I mean, we were at a private Ricky Martin concert 2 weeks ago. And then, I was at a cage fight. I mean, and these are just friends that are inviting us to things. And we've just, the vacations we've had and the real times that we have been able to spend together have been like truly remarkable. She hasn't, I mean, I don't think she's flown coach in the last decade. I mean, it's just, and I don't want to make this, everything's about money or things like that, but it's the reality. It's not about money. It's about the comforts. So you want time or you want comfort? Because I can't do both.
I say it all the time. There's no utopia, only trade-offs.
Correct.
And if it's not always about money, right? You mentioned it's about comfort, lifestyle. It's about what money can allow you to do.
It's a tool.
But if you don't have money, the only thing it is about is money, right? So I think there's a lot of jaded misconception that I was like, oh, it's not about money. It's like, it's not. But if you don't have any, everything in your life is about money. That's just the world we live in, sadly. What about presence? So the emotional side of things for you, because not only are you dealing with running your business, but then I don't want to speak for you, but you may be carrying emotional baggage for other people's families that are going through massively hard times, and you're doing this by the hundreds of people at the same time. Is there ever a time where you might be physically with your family, but emotionally or mentally somewhere else, dealing with somebody else's stuff?
Constantly. I mean, it's a balancing act again. I mean, I think my wife understands how serious my business is and what clients are going through. Now, obviously not directly due to confidentiality, but she sees what is going on, and it's just who I am. I mean, if I ever needed to be there for my family, and I constantly am, then I am. But as far as being there for my clients, I put that balancing act as well. But I guess the thing that I say is, if we're on vacation and the kids are napping and it's 2:00 in the afternoon and I got to jump on a Zoom call, or I got to take a new client call, or I got to do this, or I got to do that, what's the problem with that? What's that going to affect? I think there's a time and a place for everything as well. So yeah, if we're getting on the next ride and I'm like, oh, we got to stop everything because I got to go back to the hotel and deal with this, that's a problem. But if it's, hey, we're going to head back to the hotel at 1:00 after lunch, I'm going to prep for a call at 2, let the kids sleep, we're going to head back into the park at 4, grab some dinner and ride some rides, we can make it all work. So, that's where the communication is and the time management comes as well, and we have a family calendar too. And, we try to, stick to that as much as possible, but there's gives and takes. I mean, like you said, so, as far as handling emotional baggage, I mean, it's just always, as long as you represent clients, it's always going to be there. I put out fires constantly. That's what I do. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, on the concept of your business model, there's inherent risk in what you do because you work on contingency. And I said, I don't want to speak for you, but so correct me if I'm wrong. What are some bets that went wrong? Because essentially, you're fronting a lot of this in hopes of a settlement.
None have gone wrong. Not yet. No, knock on wood.
How are you de-risking your model?
Being transparent with people. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is, you see what a case is worth and you push it as far as you can. And, pushing a case in front of a jury, a lot of people, I think, have the misconception that, it's like, I'm going to show this jury and things like that. Juries are, they get it wrong sometimes, but I mean, they're not, even though it's, when you're picking 7 people out of a 7-Eleven, they're not dumb people, I would say. So you got a lot of betting back and forth. You know what I mean? So, mitigating risk is just saying, hey, you're getting X, we could push it to Y, what do you want to do here? And, luckily we have so much experience in our office that we can kind of, figure that out. So
what's the most amount of money you've risked on a case?
God, I think we have probably over $1 million on the street right now in costs. 2 cases I know, I think we have over 6 figures in them. So yeah, and costs.
And those, so like a financial bet that you're making of 6 figures, what's the potential outcome that you're hoping?
Millions.
Millions.
Yeah. Cost on experts in the case and things like that. But yeah, potentially millions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's awesome, dude.
yeah, it's fun.
What's your take on the big law firms, the Morgan and Morgans, those types of people? Like where are they doing things right? Where are they failing the market as opposed to like more boutique style firms?
I don't know. I don't know completely. I don't know John or Matt or Dan or any of those guys. I know of them obviously, and I know a lot of guys that work at Morgan and know the Farahs and the Newlands and things like that. Know of them. I can't comment. I'd probably look at Morgan more than anything. I mean, they're just kind of they were the first to really commercialize personal injury. I think they push cases. I think they have some fantastic trial attorneys. I think they just have a lot of volume. So, that's obviously hard to balance. I don't think I really have anything bad to say about them because I mean, their results speak for themselves. So, I try to, push the envelope as much as I can as well. Just because of what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Help me make sense of this. So like I'm, like I said earlier, I'm
layman.
super ignorant, when it comes to like the model and stuff. Cause I don't always like to take the common man's comment around things, right? So I saw a video of John Morgan on TikTok of talking about like how he pushes to basically like maximize the juice of client settlements of like, hey, this could have settled for 200 grand, but we ended up getting the client $1 million or whatever that looks like.
Clip.
But a lot of people's comments were like, oh, this is why my insurance premiums are so high and such. Help me understand like why that is and where they might be wrong, where they might be right.
They're not completely, I would say they're 90% wrong and 10% right.
Okay.
So, and here's how that goes. So you have a case that's $100,000 case, right? And I have a young, we'll do an example. I have a 25-year-old young lady that has a herniation in her back and got injections. She's got, call it $35,000 in medical bills. And, I'm saying to the insurance company, I need $100,000 on this case. She's 25 years old. She's already got injections. She's going to need more treatment in the future. She's done her conservative care. She's still in pain. She works at, she's a mom of, she has a little girl or a little boy. She's married. She's having problems picking up her kid. She used to run 5 miles a day. Now she hasn't ran in 8 months. Like, this woman's life has been affected. Like, you need to compensate her $100,000. Insurance company says, no. We go and try the case because obviously we're going to try that case 10 times over, and we can go and get the lady $1 million. The insurance company, gave them all these opportunities to pay the $100,000. We have it all documented because we send out demands and letters and things like that. They failed to do that. So we get $1 million, verdict at trial, right? So then we have to go and collect on that, and that's known as bad faith. So we have to go and prove in a secondary action, that's why these things take so long, that we did everything right and gave them every opportunity to pay the $100,000 in the cases, worth this $1 million and to basically ratify the judgment. Two things happen. Either one, we take the case all the way, and the insurance company at that point too would be responsible for our billable hours, all the hours we put in the case, and costs, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short, either they go and they say, listen, we're going to get spanked. We'll give you $800,000 instead of, the $1 million, because you'd have to go through 2 years, maybe something weird happens, whatever, appeals, et cetera, et cetera. Or you go and get the judgment basically ratified with the bad faith action, and, you get the $1 million plus fees and costs. Any way you look at it, that's anywhere from 8 to 10 times more than the $100,000 that they could have paid. So if they do that over and over and over and over again, yes, obviously they're going to outkick their coverage and insurance rates are going to have to go up. So if they pay the money on the cases that are worth paying the money, then there's no significant or shouldn't be any significant change in delta because that's what the insurance companies budgeted for when they were collecting policies. So it's really when the insurance companies fail to evaluate these claims correctly and don't protect their insureds that they're costing their insureds, the global system, more money.
So to repeat that back to you, what it sounds like is like the people commenting aren't wrong that the system itself is forcing premiums to go up,
Correct.
but it's the insurance company's hedge against knowing that they're going to continue to essentially operate in bad faith.
Correct. Because the insurance company is going to go, hey, we've had, and they know all the algorithms and the processes and the calculations, things like that. So it's like, hey, out of 100 cases, we've had 60 of them where they delivered a verdict of 50 grand or less. So we're going to hedge and say, hey, even if we get spanked on this one, all these other cases we're going to save on. So, but on the other side of it, as far as our insurance premiums going up, look at how much they're paying lobbyists. Look at how much these CEOs are making. And I know we make a lot of money too. I wouldn't fret and say we don't do very well. We work our tails off. But, look at the chart. $20 million here, $18 million there for these CEOs. Just saying.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones.
Yeah, understood. Who are you outside of law? So obviously you're known as Attorney Kevin. That's like your brand.
Yeah.
Outside of Attorney Kevin, who's Kevin?
I don't think anybody's really asked me that. I don't know if I am I don't know if I am anything. I can tell you what I try to be. Just a good person that just likes to have a good time, and that varies from day to day. I love my kids and my wife, and so definitely a family man, trying to get closer to God, trying to get fit, just trying to get better every day. I mean, if I had to describe myself in a phrase, I would just say probably a work in progress. I mean, it's just every day kind of pitches different challenges. I would say I'm always down as well. And I don't really somebody could call me tomorrow and be like, hey, we're going here, bring the wife and kids, or not tomorrow would be a little hard, but maybe a weekend.
Sure.
But, or let's do that, or let's, always willing to enjoy experiences and things like that. But I'm very measured with what I do as well. Very, very conscientious of my time, very conscientious of how it affects my brand. So I try to be diligent in how I do things and the way I do things as well.
Yep. That's great. I mean, I like I'm just a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
Because I struggle to answer that question all the time because I'm always identifying myself with how business and life is just so meshed over time, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, what am I really here for? So I guess to layer on that question is what's a hill that you're willing to die on outside of the business world? What's something that you're super passionate about that you think the world needs more of?
And my wife.
Outside of that, so let's say
of that?
Something that you may be disgruntled. So I asked this question a lot of people are super passionate about child trafficking that's going on, that they want to put a lot of effort into helping those efforts. Is there anything
financial literacy?
Okay.
Yeah,
break that down.
And just lack of understanding of the moment. I think I try to reach out to more and more young people, and try to, there's just such a lack of concern with just being a good person anymore. It's just, everybody wants something for nothing. Everybody's very opinionated. Everybody's just trying to do what they can to make the next dollar. I talk to my folks. I mean, I'm like, what would I would just love to be in the 60s or the 70s. I think that's when people were truly proud of who they were and what they did. I mean, you didn't hear anybody somebody lost their job, there would be, somebody trying to hire them. If, nobody got over their head. Being in debt or in bankruptcy was not a badge of honor. It was embarrassing. Everybody was proud to be close to God. Everybody was proud, wanted to go to school and wanted to learn and the dream was to go to college and things. And I think we just take so many things for granted. And I think we just spend needlessly on just garbage and, just things we don't need because we're trying to flex to people that probably we don't really care about and they don't really care about us. So yeah, I think my passion really is just making the younger generation just wake up, and it's not just this you versus me. It's we're all in this together, and let's make our own piece of the world a little bit better. Yeah,
it seems like there's just been a lot of more of a zero-sum game being played.
100%.
It's I win because you have to lose, as opposed to we can both win at the same time.
100%.
Especially in the world of business, is there's enough market share for everyone to win, right?
It's so much now. I see these young kids, and it's if I don't have the Rolex or the AP or the Richard Mille, or if I'm not making $100 a month, or if I'm not driving the Lambo or the McLaren or the Ferrari, or if I'm not have a $15,000 a month penthouse rented and stuff. I mean, dude, what if you got, cancer tomorrow? Is all that garbage going to matter? And it's super cool now. And I have nice things too. I'm not going to act like I don't. And I flex a little bit here and there. But if you just make that like your whole persona and your whole life, I mean, it's just, you're going to wake up 35 and just wonder like, you know, what did I do?
It's I'm super passionate about that, especially with younger people, because like not only do they say like is the common stigma around like, hey, you need to have this,
Yeah.
but you have to have it by the time you're 22 or else you're failing. It's like,
Correct.
You just fucking got out of college. Like, how does that work? It's not, you're not supposed to acquire that much that early. It like, and cool if you do. Like, you know, I work with a ton of 19-year-olds that are making millions of dollars ethically doing really cool stuff. But my passion is about making sure that by the time they're 35, they don't look back and say, "Ah, damn, I blew a bunch of money trying to make other people impressed." Because the entire time I'm worried about what other people are thinking about me, they're worried about what I'm thinking about them. We're all living in our own exterior worlds
Correct.
at the same time. So it's wild, man. So I appreciate the hill that you stand on that, because super passionate about that as well. Pivoting a little bit, you had, and correct me on this, you had recently talked at a Tampa Entrepreneurs event, and I think I hosted that event. We sponsored the event.
Okay.
I wasn't there though. But you had mentioned that you were like, there was like some level of like soft pivot that's going on in your professional world.
Yeah.
Maybe I did my research incorrect.
Yeah, no. So I didn't talk at Tampa Entrepreneurs, but I was there and we sponsored and things like that.
Sure.
Just expanding into like other avenues and things. I mean, obviously personal injury and taking care of my clients is my number one priority. Acquiring a little bit of real estate, getting into the Airbnb game. We have also a title practice and a real estate practice at the law firm. So real estate practice is a separate business, but that we own together. So just growing those businesses. So, I mean, PI is 5% of my focus, but it's just expanding into these other avenues to just kind of, risk diverse and, have other streams of income and things like that, which have been a lot of fun. I mean, it's all marketing at the end of the day. It's we're either advertising services or widgets. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously personal injuries is my number one concern. So
what does business success look like for you over the next 10 years?
Millions. No. I think I think the mark changes every day. I think as long as we're growing year over year, and percentages vary obviously because we've just had such incredible growth. I mean, I've had an incredible growth in my career. So I guess as long as I'm continuing to grow, continuing to deliver value to clients, continuing to, do a great job, I think that's probably what success looks like. Obviously continuing to reward our people. I'm very, very big on that. So, but yeah, that's basically it.
Have you ever had to like redefine success in your life? So like, early on when you're growing, you're making a bunch of money, like at least for me, success was like, oh, let me go acquire things. Let me go buy the watch. And that was the scoreboard. And then it became like my health, the just growth, contribution to people, impact. Was that ever a shift in your world?
I think it was a shift a couple of times. I mean, just when I started, I had no money. I made $12,000 in 2017. So, I think the first thing was just like, how do I make $100,000? And then it's like, how do I make, how do I have $100,000 in the bank account? And then it's, how do you make $1 million? So that's kind of the first thing is just acquiring money. And then it's like, oh, you buy the Lambo and you get the watches and then, then it kind of shifts once you have all that stuff, which is sad, but it kind of shifts into, the other thing. I truly, I'm going to say this as humbly as I possibly can. I think out of many of the people that I know, I probably have the best life of probably in my circle. And I'm sure there's some incredible people that I know as well. But money is really not an issue. Thank God. I have cool cars. I have great business partners and an amazing staff. My wife is we can say bad words. Yeah. She's a fucking smoke show. She's a hottie. My kids are the gifts from God. Absolutely beautiful. I can go do whatever I want. I can probably buy anything I want other than a plane or a yacht. I'm very, very fortunate. So, as far as success, I think I reached that many years ago. At this point, I don't even care that much about success, I guess. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Sure. So what specifically drives you?
Winning. I just like winning.
Define
Every day
winning.
I like winning. Laying my head on the pillow and, did I do the best that I could do in every facet of my life, whether it's family, whether it's health, whether it's finances, whether it's business, whatever it is. And then whatever I didn't do well, what am I going to do correct tomorrow? I mean, money has not been a way of keeping score for a long time, although I do love money and money is important, as I'm sure everybody knows. But it's really about winning, winning for the clients, and even small wins too, hey, that client was kind of on the edge. Okay, I signed them. You know what I mean? Regardless of the value of the case. Hey, did I push every dollar out of this case that I could? Hey, did I, bring home flowers for my wife every once in a while? Hey, did I hang out with my son a little bit or my daughter? Did I, do this? Did I, and it sounds like box checking, but I mean, that's how my life is. I mean, I have a list of things to do. And that may seem shallow, but I mean, that's all you can do.
I think where your heart's at and the intention doesn't like that's what matters. Yeah. Like people may look at it on the surface like, oh, that might seem shallow, but like what really matters is where your heart's at. And it's, I could tell that your heart's in a good place around it. Something that I was going back and forth with my business partner yesterday was like, I get it. We're playing an infinite game and we all talk about this like, hey, like it's the game of life at the end of the day. None of the numbers on the screen don't really matter in the grand scheme of things because we're all going to die at some point. But for me, the way that I come from an athlete background, like I need to have some level of a scoreboard throughout. Like I need to like actually measurably and tangibly identify what winning looks like as well. So it's like, how do I create on this infinite game of this, like, and there's a scoreboard there, but like, how do I create these mini scoreboards inside a business as well? Cause like you could be winning in life and also down 14 at halftime in your business at the same time. And like both can be true in my opinion.
I think you have to look at it on a either quarterly or yearly basis. I think, big Rob Dyrdek fan. I grew up skateboarding.
Love Rob.
And he's coming out. I'm waiting for his app to come out. I think it's called Existence, like IO. And he just like basically, breaks his day down into like 15-minute increments. A lot of people do. And then like rates his day based on like different factors of health. And, he rates it out of 10. They can measure different facets of his life. So, I started doing that as well in some capacities. So I think it's, you got to look over data, obviously find something trackable, whether it's in your business or your life, and then track the data over a period of time. And then look, my health score, I think my health is, a 4 out of 10, in quarter one. And then, I look and now I'm at a 7 out of 10 in quarter four, or, my, food, my diet, my faith, my business, whatever. So I think you just, figure out how to rate it and then look it over time.
Yeah. Tony Robbins talks about it's progress equals happiness.
Yeah,
it's really that
100%.
simple, right? And the only way to figure out progress, you have to measure it at the same time. Celsius ad right there.
Yeah. My boy, Kevin Harrington.
There you go. We got to get sponsored by Celsius at some point.
There you go.
Maybe they're good.
They are tasty.
What are some of the dark moments that you never really share? Everyone gets to see this glamorous lifestyle, but share some dark moments that if you're open to sharing things that you don't talk about often.
My dad's been sick for a long time. So those doctor's appointments are really up or really down. And my dad's my hero and has been through everything so with me and supported me. Parents are getting older and things like that. So that definitely makes it harder. I have a real problem with asking for help. And I will not give up to win. And that can be, I guess, very polarizing to some people. And I think it makes it a little bit harder to have connections. I'm very transactional how I do things. I do have great close friends and things like that. So, but it makes it a little bit harder to I guess, create real relationships with people. So that's one thing that makes it a little harder. And I will work myself to death, and I'm pretty laser focused on my goals. I do wish that I spent a little bit more time with my kids, and I'll probably have a small regret about that, even though I know what I'm building and I know I'm doing the right thing. I don't think you can ever spend enough time with your kids. And I know I said in the beginning, very work focused, and I am. But yeah, that's probably years down the road. One of the things I'll probably look back on, I was like, man, probably should have done a little bit more. But those are the kind of the dark moments and stuff as far as my life. I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm a very fortunate and lucky guy, in all aspects of my life. So
you mentioned your dad's your hero. In a world where I can imagine your dad doesn't really give a shit about your accomplishments, he more cares about the relationship you guys have.
He cares about my accomplishments.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay.
He'll tell you.
Was he ever hard on you?
All 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest critic, my biggest fan, and my biggest critic. And he's where I am today. I mean, second place was first loser, and brought home a 98 and show me when it was 100, or tell me when it's 100, things like that. And a lot of people would think like, God, your dad was a dick, and he was. But we have an amazing relationship, and he taught me how the world worked, and nobody's going to give you anything for free, and you're going to have to fight for it all. And I think a lot of people couldn't have handled what I went through, and it was never physical or anything like that, or never berating. It was just very honest, which I don't think a lot of people can deal with even at a very young age. So, but I'm thankful for it, and yeah.
I feel like myself talking back to me. That's retweet, bro, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely gives you some good battle scars, and I did get my ass beat. So do you feel like you've made him proud?
He tells me 98%, but he tells other people he's proud of me.
Yeah. Right? It's like their way of showing. It's a unique way of showing love. Right?
I don't want to ever make him proud. Like, I don't ever want to be at 100%. Like, I always want to have that thing that he's reaching, or that he thinks that I could do a little bit better. And I think that's with anybody. I mean, I think life is not about finality, you know what I mean? And I think that's where we're all like almost kind of seeking, is just like this like unwavering, just like love and affection of the world. It's not out there. It's, there's going to be battles and trials and tribulations and everything else that you're going to have to go through, health, relationships, business, whatever. And if you think the world's just going to, give you a pass because you had a bad day, I'm sure any of your buddy in your audience can tell you they won't.
Sure. Was your dad's approval a core motivator over time?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a lot. I think it was everybody, though. A lot of people, I was bullied as a kid and made fun of. A lot of people, when they met me at a young age, thought that there was something special about me or different about me. And I wanted to make my mom and dad, my mom too, obviously she was fantastic, and raised my sister and I. But I think the biggest thing is I never wanted anybody to tell me no. And that was in the last couple of years. And I say that respectfully. Women can say no, obviously. We'll
sure.
put that out there.
We get it. We get the context for sure.
But I'm like, you're, and even the little things, as far as like walking up to a restaurant in town or whatever, and being like, oh, we're full on reservations. $100 says you're not. It's magic how I end up with a reservation. It's just little things. Hey, you can't park there. I can park there, and it may sound tooly or whatever, but nobody's ever going to tell me that I can't do something. I'll figure out a way. I'll figure out a person I can contact. I'll figure out whatever I need to do to get whatever I need to do to get it done. That's what I'll do. So
you mentioned that, like, you're very direct, honest. We have a similar communication style, especially in the business workplace.
Could you tell?
Yeah. Especially in the business workplace, as I've grown in my leadership, it's been tough to you have to exercise some level of empathy, because you have to be able to connect to individual humans. Do you think there's an evolution for you where it's like balancing that directness, desire to win, with a level of empathy to make sure that you're communicating to others that are a part of your ship?
Yeah, I think yes, but I don't know if there's an evolution. I mean, I think there's the hiring the players but it's a twofold. You have to hire the people that can do the best job, that can work with you the best. So for me, it's, would I don't drink anymore, but would I go out to dinner with this person, or would I enjoy them? And I try to get to know their other interests. So, while I work everybody hard and push them to their best, hey, you're, a Morgan Wallen fan, they're in town. Here's some tickets, or hey, there's this, or hey, there's that, or hey, your birthday's coming up, here's a gift card to here or there or whatever. So I try to do little things for my people and try to get to know them, so I can take care of them and treat them, that way. As far as the work product, I mean, I think everybody knows that I require the best, but I think it goes back to that they know that I would do anything that I'm asking them to do, and I would do it any time of day. If you need me to do an intake, I'll do an intake. If you need me to sit through a hearing, I'll sit through a hearing. If you need me to do a deposition or whatever, this or that, anything you can do, I am willing to do. So I'm not asking you to go out of your way. And I'm at the office the latest. I try to get there the earliest. I mean, I set the standard. So I think that makes it a lot easier too when your people know that you're in the foxhole, something like that. Mm-hmm. When you're in the trenches with them, I think they treat you a lot better. I think you start running into problems when you're an absent leader. And I'm not saying don't go on vacation or do that. But if you're taking a month off here and there and they see you, fucking around on Instagram, you're not going to probably have the warmest welcome coming back.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in like startup mid stages, 100%. Like you're in the trenches with the team. And I've come to find, like, as obviously it's necessary as a founder-led business to scale yourself out in some which way so that you can focus on higher leverage things. But the one thing that you can never delegate is your standard.
100%.
That's like the 100% always going to have to come from the founder until maybe one day you go public and like there's a whole nother set of
really
complications.
Matters to that point.
Yeah. We're talking about small business at this point. Yeah, dude, it's interesting. How big's your team?
I think we're at 31 now.
That's great,
something like that. I have 4 partners, so I think the whole firm is like 31. We keep hiring people. Like, it constantly changes. I didn't know one guy's name for 2 weeks, so he didn't work directly for me, but I didn't know what his name was.
And that's a good and bad thing, right? It's a good,
that
great.
Sounds horrible, but yeah. He wasn't on under my department or anything like that. Poor guy didn't know his name for 2 weeks.
Sure.
So
now you're getting to the next level of, like, it sounds like you've got the PI firm really rolling, the operational businesses. Now it looks like you're more towards like this wealth building phase of your life as well, asset acquisition, things like that.
Yeah.
What sparked that, and what's exciting about that for you?
I love different ventures and things like that. I've always been passionate about real estate, and I've always been fun. My time is so valuable, as it is for you that, I had to find the right, the Rise Collective, our buddy Elliot Caldwell, is taking care of me there. And, I had to find something where I could basically be as passive as possible. I can't be called at 2:00 in, the afternoon, cause a toilet's leaking or something stupid. Those guys do a great job of taking care of every, facet of that. So I have to be very strategic with my investments. I just can't give somebody my money, and not, have a lot of faith in them. And, so that was, just found the right place, right time. I invested in my buddy Alex Ottawell, his oil company as well out in Texas, gave him a couple bucks, and that's done great. So really it's about investing with friends and things that I'm interested in, and then, kind of figuring it out from there. So
do you see, like, given that you seems like, I don't want to call you a workaholic, but we love to work, right? Like, retirement's not really in our vernacular.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself deploying capital more towards operational side of businesses and growing your portfolio through things you have a little bit more control over? Or are you more interested in passivity when it comes to capital allocation?
I think it's more interested in owning assets than passivity. So it would be, the problem with investing in a company is I don't have the self-control to not have an opinion.
Sure.
So it's like something like real estate, you really don't have very much of an opinion. The market dictates it. You know what I'm saying? So what your rent gets, what your, Airbnb nightly stay is, and things like that, the market dictates that. When it comes to like a startup or a widget or something like that, selling a service, et cetera, I have to be integral. It's just who I am as a person, and the processes and the systems and the, acquisitions, et cetera, the hiring, just because it's my name on it at the end of the day. And I'm also have a license, to practice law. So if anything goes south with this other company, obviously that may have backfire on this other, on my main business. So
sure.
I have to be very diligent in the investments that I make and the partnerships that I make.
What are you afraid of most? It's like
losing.
Okay. And what is define losing?
I just not reaching, my potential. I mean, it's just like, it's not like one thing. Like, am I afraid of spiders? Am I afraid of this or that? I think it's, just not living a fulfilled life in whatever that looks like at that moment. I feel like I'm so philosophical when I say this, but my life is not singularly dimension, meaning like, and a lot of tragedy is not going to really strike me. Like if I had $100,000 problem tomorrow, it wouldn't really affect my life. I would be pissed, but I mean, it really wouldn't affect very much. I'm not really afraid of getting sick or anything like that or having health issues. I saw that with my dad so much that you just kind of grind through it. You just make every day as great as you can. Not really worried about having any significant familial issues. I mean, I do everything I can to help my wife and my kids. Friends, I always try to be there for. I mean, I'm really not afraid of very much other than just just reaching my full potential. If I went, out tomorrow and it was the music ended, I'd be okay with that. I left all the chips on the table. I mean, there was nothing that I didn't do, that I said I didn't do.
Sure.
And any individual, I mean, lawyers are fighters. I'm a fighter. I mean, anybody wants to come at me, I'm certainly not inviting it, but good fucking luck.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, I don't know where to go from there. I mean, you just stared into my soul, and that kind of got motivated. Yeah.
Or left a piece. There you go.
That's great, man. So yeah, I mean, strip everything all away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, tear the law firm down, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. What do you build? And like, do you build the same thing? Do you build something that is, like, knowing what you know now, would you build anything differently?
I would find a market that you could, there would be a social media marketing play with a growth play at the same way. I think social media is vital and it's just such a massive play. So I would have to figure out something that, kind of complements both. I think the kids that have figured out or young people that have figured out how to grow their social media, become proficient / an expert at a specific field, and then are able to monetize that in a course, I think is truly remarkable. So I would figure out how to sell a skill, and monetize it through that way. So, and I don't know what that would look like. Obviously law, you couldn't monetize that because you have to have a license, but I would figure out something. I mean, I'm between like these real estate brokerages and how they build things, health insurance brokerages and all these, different solar and all these different sales organizations. I mean, it's just really remarkable what some of these people have built. So probably look at something like that where you could scale.
What's your thesis on AI and law?
It's a tool. I'm not worried about it taking my job. I'm not even really worried about it taking my paralegal's job. I think I think we're 10 to 15 years from it truly affecting the legal industry. I think it helps you get information faster. I think it, if you know how to use it correctly, I think it can provide, information that you need quicker. But I mean, you're not going to see an AI bot in a courtroom, ever, probably.
Now let me pause you for a second. So in your discipline, couldn't agree more. Now in general business, contract law, things like that, do you still have the same thesis? Outside of the courtroom, let's just say documents itself.
I would never enter into a contract without having a lawyer look over it.
Sure.
Ever. Because if something does go awry, which there's a large possibility that it will, who are you going to blame? Yourself and your AI. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? I think, and I use the example all the time, like wills and trusts is very template based, right? What happens when your will isn't drafted properly? AI doesn't know a change in the law or doesn't know. I mean, I'm sure it will, but it gives, your sister Billy, 50%. You haven't talked to your sister Billy in, 20 years or of your state, et cetera. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of issues in the legal profession. And then AI has a tendency to make up things like case law and things like that. There were some people that got in trouble for that. So, I mean, I think you have to be very conscious and know what you're doing if you're going to use AI in the legal field.
Yeah. I'm not fearful of it at this exact moment, but as I continue down the rabbit hole of it, I'm like, okay, it's getting better really fast.
And I don't think we're smart enough to use it though.
Sure.
I think it's smart. I don't think I think there's, I know they say, AI is going to build upon itself and blah, blah, blah. I get that, but I don't think most of the operators or the daily users that are using ChatGPT to plan their next vacation are really trying to do, make high level business decisions.
Yeah, dude, that's why I had to delete Twitter for a minute because like you always constantly feel behind when you're looking at all these new things roll out. And so I'm like, all right, let me try some of these things. We got Claude Code out there, Clawbot, all these things.
Somebody told me about Claude the other day and I'm like, it's like a game changer. I'm like, dude, I just got good at ChatGPT. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, ChatGPT's dead. That's besides the point.
Yeah, that's over now. I mean, so news to me this week.
Essentially, like I've even tried to leverage these things and it's just not there when it comes to like the non-technical people, which is the large majority of the
Yeah.
market of small business. Like we're operators. We're good at what we know how to do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to type a /.md file and fucking be a master at all these things. So I still think
I have elderly clients that don't know how to use email.
yeah, exactly.
You think they're going to use AI? I mean, come on.
I do think the overall macro thing that I want people to understand though is like AI will never replace resourcefulness as a skill.
No.
So like as long as you're ambitious, resourceful, well networked, you'll just be able to play in a space where we're a more AI native world that we live in, because it's likely not going away, especially once we solve the whole power issue and the data stuff, blah blah blah. But it's not just like taking all these jobs like we think it is. It's a lot of buzzwords right now for sure.
I agree.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on. That there's a couple things in there that resonate very well with me. And just like it's been a struggle for me as a leader of just like this massive desire to win, and somebody who's like had this chip on his shoulder since sports ended for me, where it's like business is my sport. If I was just pursuing my passion, I'd just go be a fucking baseball coach making 30 grand a year. But that's just not it for me right now. You know, what are you actually passionate about? It's like I get like serving clients, impacting people's lives there, but like
I think you asked me about that earlier. Maybe passionate outside of my life. Within my life, I mean, just enjoying the moments and things like that.
Sure.
Enjoying the wins. I definitely was never good at that. It was always on the next win, the next goal, the next milestone, et cetera. So just I guess self-improvement is, looking internally and stuff, and, trying to figure out, I think life again is like almost a big puzzle, trying to fit all the pieces in. And, I think the only difference between a puzzle and like an actual puzzle and what I'm talking about is, you can shave this piece here to fit it a little bit better. And, maybe you cut this piece in half and, okay, you can, now you have two colors and, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just self-improvement, and hopefully that, it just like I was saying, just, other people see my story and, they think they can do it too, or, and they don't beat themselves up so hard either for wanting, I think that's the other side of it. And you kind of mentioned it as well, is that we're so hard on ourselves for working hard. It's like, that's almost like not cool anymore. It's like, you work 14 hours a day, what are you doing? And in your 20s and your 30s are going to pass you by and all this. And it's like, cool. You're still like making minimum wage at 50. Like you can't, if one bad thing happened, one $500 issue, like you'd be on your ass. Like, who are you to judge me? And, again, not to make everything about money or anything like that, but, why do most people have health issues? Because they're fat and they eat bad food. I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm not making it up. They put bad things in their body and they drink and they take drugs and things like that. And like I said, some people have issues with that, and I'm sympathetic to those people. But a lot of the issues that we have, we do to ourselves. Like if you get wasted on Friday night, you're going to wake up on Saturday feeling like shit, and you're not going to work, and you're not going to hang out with your kids, and you're not going to go for a workout, and, you're not going to be as productive as you could be, So, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going out and having a good time every once in a while, but, I think just passionate about, again, self-improvement, and hopefully a handful of people or more than that see my story and are okay with being in their own skin.
Yeah, I think people overvalue how important their opinion is to other people. It's like, it's just not. It's just
care less.
Yeah, right. You mentioned faith. Where are you at in that journey? So you mentioned like, hey, that's a space in my life.
I feel like it bobs and weaves and stuff. Like I've been religious my whole life. I went to Christian Baptist high school, a Catholic college, Catholic law school. I think God's always been a cornerstone of my life. I think I always felt guilty about like, I don't like asking for things, I think a lot of people, prayer for me is more being thankful and grateful for what I have, rather than being like, God, please, this one time, one time for the one time. So I think that's always been my relationship is God. That is that friend that I can rely on, that I try not to ask too much of. Because I've been so fortunate. I feel so lucky, and I'm almost feel guilty about, asking for anything. So, there's plenty of times I have a handful, I feel comfortable. I I try to, read scripture when I can, especially when I'm down, try to look at Proverbs. I like Proverbs a lot. But yeah, we don't go to church very much. I think religion is more, I can celebrate as more of a private thing, and I'm okay with that. So, but yeah, definitely a believer.
Yeah, dude, I'm in a similar spot where it's like, I come from this Catholic background where it's almost like forced upon you, and it's no longer attractive as you grow up in the real world, where everyone's got this like virtue signaling stuff. Like, I'm better than you, but no one's actually talking about all the shit that's going on in their lives behind the scenes. And now it's like this ebb and flow. And I sometimes feel guilty about conditionally asking for God. If I'm not talking to God every day, but then when the plane has turbulence, God, just this one time you make sure that we land safely. That's it. Like I'm back. Do you ever struggle with that stuff in just your day? Like, so in a world where you have a lot of goals and you're very motivated by hitting said goals, that is one of those worlds where like it is truly an infinite game, and there's not winning is just doing every day.
I think I have a good enough relationship with God where I know if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I'm comfortable enough with everything I've done in my life where if it's my time to be called up, then it is. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel a need to, I guess, ask, because it's just like he's going to make it happen if it's meant to be, if it's meant to happen. And I think that's with anything in life, or dealing with relationships with people. They're meant to be there if they are. You're meant to have things if you are, or you're not. I mean, and there's, some type of divine intervention that, where one door closes, the other one will open. So I think, my life is, I think it's a combination of, there's a roadmap. But I think, if I drove from here to Los Angeles, Los Angeles is probably not a good place to go to. Let's use Miami. If I drove here to Miami, there's a lot of different ways that I could go to Miami. I could drive down the other coast. I could drive straight down the alley. I could, stop off and have lunch. I could do this and I could do that, but whatever way I take, I'm going to make it to my destination, which is heaven. So, I'm okay with whatever way life throws at me. So
now throughout life, as somebody who is like tried to keep their hand on a lot of things and built a lot of things through sheer brute force, is fair to say. How do you have discernment around where to let go in your life?
I guess a day-to-day basis.
Is it tough?
It's not as tough when you have the experience, when you gain experience, and then you have the people around you that have the capabilities. I think it just, I think you let go a little bit more and more each day. And I wouldn't call it not caring. You just get to a point where it's like the little things don't matter if they go south. You know what I mean? Like, and the things that do matter, I take care of myself. For example, if I need my car repaired or something like that, I'm not going to freak out and call the repair guy every 5 minutes and things like that. It's just going to happen. To trust that they're going to do a good job, take care of the car, and move on. You know what I mean? But if I have a mediation where I'm trying to get $1 million, I'm going to be a part of that. You know what I mean? So you just look at what you have to do that day. You look at different aspects of your life. You see what you can delegate and see what you can't. Have I gotten better at delegation? Yeah, 100%. Am I as good as I wish I was? Not. I don't think any of us that are high achievers are. But it just gets better over time. Yeah.
And it's not static, right? It's always evolving and changing as you continue to level up.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the other thing with that too is I'm very good. And I think that's why, I've had a good relationship with so many clients, is that I'm very good at addressing things head on. Every client has my cell phone. So if they have a problem or an issue or something like that, hey, or a question or whatever, stressed, etc., we deal with it right then and there. It's not like it's like, hey, you know what? This is Kevin Sullivan's office, or this is Levin Law. We're going to schedule an appointment, next Monday at 2:00, and we'll make sure that his assistant follows up. Like, dude, these people are going to be so stressed out. These are people that are injured in an accident that have all of these things happening at one time and all these questions and thoughts swirling around in their head. Do you think they're going to sit still until next Monday? No.
Yep.
So, and 95% of the time I get on the phone with somebody, it's something that we can resolve in that phone call. Hey, this is what the doctor meant by that. Hey, this is what this document means. Hey, this is what your case is going to look like in the future. Hey, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So
it's great, dude. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. This is I've heard really good things about you.
All lies.
Yeah, fair. It's been a blessing to get to know you, man. I'm
Yeah,
looking
man, I
forward
appreciate
to, maybe we'll grab a bite as well someday, get to know each other, because we're in Tampa now. So
Yeah,
what part of Tampa are you in?
I'm in Brandon.
Brandon.
So I'm in
Okay,
the
so you're a little far.
I'm in
Okay.
the burbs, yeah.
Okay, that's what, like 30, 40 minutes from here now?
20.
Okay, yeah, not far.
It's not Lakeland. No, I'm just kidding.
Fair.
So,
I mean, it better not be Lakeland.
yeah.
Dude. After all the stuff you were
Lakeland's
talking
all
about.
right. Yeah, Lakeland's not a bad vibe.
Well, appreciate you, brother.
Thanks,
Thank you so
dude.
much.